and varied world of Eternia.
Interestingly enough, there was some confusion about the phrase Masters of the Universe. And I don't think Mattel or Filmation ever really was completely clear on who was being referred to in that phrase, whether it was the villains, whether it was the good guys, or whether it was both together. And I suspect there was probably some sort of shift or revision on that thinking, because my first script referred to the villains as the Masters of the Universe, and subsequent scripts referred to the heroes. But in my personal mind, as I think of it this day, they're all the Masters of the Universe. There's the good Masters versus the evil Masters.
Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil Masters of the Universe.
I remember going down to Hawthorne, to the Mattel offices, with a group of writers and producers for the show to see the He-Man dolls for the very first time. And we were taken into a room there, and the whole product line was showed to us, along with a lot of development artwork. And it looked very interesting. It looked like Buck Rogers, like Flash Gordon, a little bit of Star Wars, like a big amalgam of a lot of the fantasy movies of the day. Everything from a little bit of the Sinbad movies by Harryhausen right up to Battlestar Galactica and things like that. Spacemen, monsters, wizards, the whole thing.
At the time that I wrote the pilot script, I believe we knew that the show was going forward. I think we knew it was a Go production, and we would have started to schedule how we were going to produce our scripts in a fashion that would allow us to produce 65 episodes in one season, which hadn't been done up until then. And I think the plan was to use a lot of freelance writers. We had a staff, and we did indeed expand the staff as we started He-Man, and hired other writers who were not there at the beginning. So it was a combination of using staff writers and a lot of freelance writers. I think He-Man probably used more freelance writers than any previous Filmation show, certainly more so than any of the shows that I'd been involved with previously.
I first learned about He-Man when Arthur Nadell called me in to talk about it. He was going to be the producer and the story editor, and he said, "We have a new show coming up. It's something that really hasn't been done before. Are you interested in writing episodes about it?" I said, "What? There's going to be like what? Long commercials?" No. We'll have real stories.
Frankly, from a little girl on, I always loved superheroes. You know, Superman was my hero, and the next thing I knew, I was in a meeting. And there were about 10 of us around the table, and they were explaining what the concept was. I was the only woman in the room, and I understand I was the only woman writing these at all. But that was not an unusual situation back then. That was really how it went. And I enjoyed action adventures.
I remember hearing that Filmation was working on this project with Mattel Toys, and that is based on some toy characters, some action figures they had. When I heard about it, I went looking, found a DC comic adaptation or early story, I think a couple of issues. Saw what the characters looked like. I looked in the toy store, saw what the characters looked like, and said, oh, this could be interesting. This could be really fun. The thing that was really exciting to me was that we were creating something absolutely new and different, and in a format that was new and different.
One of the main things we were faced with in this project, once I had agreed to stay there to get the series rolling, was building the stock library that we had had before in our history. In order to do that, we had been over to Mattel, and they had introduced us to some typical models in makeup that they were going to tour around the country to promote the toys. And of course we couldn't use those. I went with an assistant from one gymnasium to another trying to find bodybuilders, both male and female, that would sort of fit the bill of He-Man, and we interviewed them. We tested them for agility, for jumping and rolling and twisting, so that they weren't just totally muscle-bound. And we shot an extensive library. We did a storyboard on it first of the shots that we wanted, and we filmed this library to of each character. And from there, we went ahead and had our layout artists and character design artists follow Mattel's designs. And then we started introducing the action, the talking pieces, and with He-Man there was a lot more action because of the situation, his character. That took a while, and we only had a few artists, as I said before, that were capable of drawing those figures. But once it was completed, it was a tremendous asset.
I was calling every studio in town, and I wanted to get onto a series, and the He-Man series was gearing up. They needed a lot of people. I just called up, and they said, "Come on down, take a test." And that's how my He-Man story began.
Keep your fangs to yourself, Beastman.
My feeling about the show was that it was great because there were 65 episodes, which meant we'd be working for probably a year. And I remember that being the promise at the beginning was, well, you're going to get a year's worth of work out of this. So, so I was very happy about that. And then it was kind of fun to see, that we were going to be doing, an action-adventure show. I thought that was kind of cool, and sort of drawing these comic book-looking characters, belting it out and doing cool, super things.
The development of characters, stories, and the animation process itself will be explored in future documentaries. But as faithful fans know, after its September 1983 debut, He-Man became one of television's most popular animated series ever.
We did the shows, and they were syndicated, and the shows went through the roof. The networks then really got mad at me because I almost blew ABC out of the water for Saturday morning because we did so well that they didn't do it, and we started running some of the shows on Saturday morning. They got ticked at me. Now the networks wouldn't talk to me anymore.
I don't think any of us had any idea at all how huge this was going to be. I mean, maybe Lou did, but I don't know how he could have. It hadn't been done before. There had never been a show where the toys and the show came out simultaneously. There'd never been a show where there'd been 65 episodes done at once and where they were going to be broadcast daily. There had never been a huge, sort of culturally transcendent phenomenon such as He-Man. So I think this took us all by complete surprise.
You know, the legacy that Filmation has to me, and it's really strange, and I didn't really discover this. Now, mind you, I'm 73 years old, and we were on a cruise, and for some reason on the cruise, we had a butler, So the butler says to me, and I said, my husband did Fat Albert. Oh, the guy was a black kid. And I said, my husband did Fat Albert. Oh, if he did Fat Albert. This butler told all the other butlers and all of a sudden, we were celebrities on that cruise.
It was not a celebrity cruise, though.
No, it wasn't. And I said to Lou, all these years, I let all these years go by. Well, I could have been a contender. And you know what? Now I stop people in the street.
Yeah, sure. He did He-Man. Oh, yeah, he did He-Man.
Yeah.
He realized the power of knowing that there are people out there who saw these things and appreciated them, whose lives had been somehow changed by them. And we used to, to me, the real satisfaction is knowing that the people who worked with us and the people who saw the shows both were better off, hopefully, as a result of having existed. We were around.
You're just one of the better guys, honey. I'm not as altruistic as he is. I like the purse. I like the purse.
Good night, Jay.
Good night, Jay.